Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Killer Content Showcase series, where we spotlight some of the best marketing campaigns in B2B. I'm Elise Schoening, the assistant editor with Demand Gen Report, and today I'm joined by Beth Elkin.
Hi, Elise. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Beth is the Group Vice President of Marketing at JDA Software, which is a retail and supply chain solutions provider. The campaign that we're going to talk today about is Wednesdays for Women, which is a weekly blog series that won a Killer Content Award at this year's B2BMX. The blog was launched in 2017, and it highlights a woman in the supply chain and technology world each week. Since launching in 2017, it has received more than 14,000 page views. So Beth, can you tell me a little bit about Wednesdays for Women and how it started?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Wednesdays for Women actually had its start in a presentation that I gave to the company at an all-company meeting. I was asked to represent the leadership team to talk about our gender diversity initiatives and present some statistics and talk about some of the things we're going to try to do as a company to move the needle. And after I presented, I thought, okay, so now what? Like, what do I do? What does my team do? How do we get involved and help move the needle? And the blog idea came to me. So I ran it by a few people, and we decided just to try it and see what happened. So we did a couple of point of view blogs, a couple of Q&As with some of our sort of female leaders in the company, and it just took off from there.
Yeah, that's really great. This is a campaign that I actually was really inspired by and excited to chat some more about. Why do you think it was so important to dedicate a blog series to uplifting women?
Good question. So a couple of things. I think for me, we're a pretty big company. We're 4,000 employees around the world. And I think for me, sometimes it's hard to find somebody who's had the same journey as you or has maybe some career aspirations, has taken a path that you might aspire to take yourself. So by highlighting some of the career journeys of other women, you might find someone who's like you or who has experienced something that you could reach out to, and it makes the world a little smaller and ask for some advice. So for our internal associates, I felt like it was a good way to network internally for a global company. I think externally, it makes it shows potential job candidates that we are a place where women can grow and achieve and move up into leadership roles. So I thought that was a great way to showcase JDA as a potential employer. And then I think it also kind of just shows who we are as a company for customers and prospects and those who want to work with us and have similar values as us.
Yeah, those are great points. And the category that you won for is cause marketing, and JDA is actually the only winner in this category this year. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that and what the value of cause marketing is in B2B.
Yeah, great question. So I think, I think sometimes cause marketing might be a little easier to do in B2C. I think they have sort of broader platforms and people are more familiar with, affiliating with a certain brand and what they might stand for. In B2B, maybe you don't see it as much, but I think it's equally important. B2B buyers, just like B2C buyers, like to buy from people and companies who have similar values to them, who have believe in certain causes and I feel like this is one of our ways to let people know, to let our potential buyers know where we stand and how that we believe in diversity. We value diversity. We value women in our company. And so it's a nice way for us to do that. And again, from an employment standpoint, we welcome a very diverse workforce. I work with lots of people from different companies, different countries, different walks of life. And this is another way to showcase that we welcome those folks into our company.
Yeah, that's really great. Do you think that B2B companies as a whole are prioritizing cause marketing enough today?
I think there's always opportunity for improvement. The key is that you have to make sure that you walk the talk. It's one thing to do a campaign. It's another thing to actually live the campaign and make sure that you are backing it up in some way. So I think, if they are doing it, they should be doing it for the right reasons because it's part of who they are. And then they need to make sure that they back it up with action. And I feel like we are doing that. We have really concerted efforts as it relates to bringing more women into the workforce, supporting women in tech. We have what's called a Women's Interest Network, where we have networking opportunities within JDA for women to, network, share, grow their careers. We have a couple of leadership tracks that are specifically for advancing women in the workplace. So I feel like we are living those values as well, but it's important to do both. If you're going to market it, you better be living it.
Yep, I totally agree with you there. And can you share a favorite blog or story from Wednesdays for Women?
I've been thinking about that. I love them all. I love a good story, and so I really like them all. There's three that kind of stand out for me. The first one is one of the early blog Q&As that I got to do with a colleague in India who had a boss who she called a male Miranda. And what she was referring to was the Miranda Priestley character in The Devil Wears Prada. So if you're familiar with that movie or that book, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. And she talked about how she navigated that scenario with this boss. And I just thought it was a really interesting story and sort of how she ended up really having a great relationship with him, but the hurdles she had to overcome. So I just learned a lot about her and her situation there. Our CEO actually did a guest blog about a woman that really advocated for him at the University of Hartford when he felt like nobody was in his corner, and she stepped up and helped him at a time when he really needed help. And so that was kind of a neat blog, I thought, for him to share his voice. And then one of my other favorites was a point of view that one of my colleagues wrote called The Truth About Tears, and it was about crying at work. And it really generated a lot of response. I think it was maybe she hesitated a while before she actually raised her hand and said she would do it. And when she did it, it got a great response. So I felt like she kind of put herself out there and told a great story. And I think all of us have had those moments where maybe we felt like crying at work. And so she kind of just braved her soul, and it was neat.
Definitely. Those are some really great examples. I really like the male Miranda one, too.
Yeah. If you haven't read it, you have to go back and look for it.
Definitely. I will. Thank you. And then what kind of response has the series gotten from the audience?
So that's really actually been the most gratifying and most surprising. I didn't know what it would do, right? But we tried it. It's continued to pick up steam. It's one of our most read blogs every week. Or every month when we pull our stats, it always bubbles to the top. It gets shared frequently on social channels. So we see it appearing on people's LinkedIn and their Twitter. People like to get it shared. I've been interviewing candidates for jobs, and when I interview candidates, they will proactively bring it up to me, not knowing that I had any role in it. They'll just say, "Oh, I read that blog. It was really cool." And so I think it's neat that candidates are seeing it. That was sort of one of our goals, is to expose them to sort of who we were as an employer. And I even have colleagues who don't work in my business or my industry who have said, "Hey, I saw you post something on LinkedIn. I now read that blog every week. It's one of my must-reads, and it's just a quick and easy read." And again, I think people like stories about other people, so it's resonated far beyond our expectations.
That's amazing. And I know it was launched in 2017, and it's still active today. You're posting every week.
It is.
How do you find new content and stories to share, and how long do you plan to keep publishing it?
That's a great question. So we still have lots of associates that we can highlight, and we continue to sort of unearth new stories within JDA. We have a lot of customers that we'd like to highlight. So women who are working in technology or supply chain at our customers, who also have these amazing journeys that we like to highlight as well, so that they can sort of get some exposure within their own companies, within the industry, because I think there's always good stories to tell. We've had some of our partners, we have a lot of great technology partners, raise their hand and say, "We'd like to contribute." So now we're kind of getting some outside contributors coming to us and saying, we've noticed your blog, we think it's really great. Can we contribute? Can we submit something? So we've had some of those requests as well. We've actually had some partners also ask us about how they can get something started similar to this in their own companies. So that's been a nice sort of benefit as well.
Yeah, and as one of our KCA winners for 2019, I'm wondering if you have any advice you can share for other B2B marketers out there that are looking to improve their content and to create some killer campaigns this year.
Yeah. So I have a couple of ideas. So I think first of all, just try something sometimes. I mean, I just tried it, right? So if you have the means and sort of a platform to be able to try something, just try it and see what happens. So you have to sort of be bold and do that. I think, also don't let money be a deterrent. This doesn't cost us any money. It just costs us our time. So if you feel really passionate about something, you can maybe do it without a lot of funds. So this is something that's just sort of organically grown. And I have other team members now who also want to work on it. In the beginning, it was just me. Now lots of folks are working on it. And so there's lots of opportunity within it if you just sort of identify it. So don't be afraid to do it, and don't let money be a deterrent.
Definitely. And last question, are there any other KCA campaigns that inspired you to think differently about B2B marketing?
A couple that I really liked. I liked the one by Lucidchart that was, it was sort of lighthearted and memorable and unexpected. but it still told you what their product did. And we're trying to use a lot more video at JDA, so I liked sort of their use of video to tell their story in just, a fun way. I also really like using influencers, and I like the influencer ebook that the Bottom Line Technologies team did. I felt like that was a really good use of some thought leaders in a way to aligning those thought leaders with their brand in a way to sort of drive sort of more attention to their business and their cause. And I like that as well.
Yeah, Lucidchart one was one of my favorites as well. And I know that goes back to your idea of just try it, because the story behind that campaign is that they have like a bad ideas Slack channel, and someone just posted that there, and it ended up becoming this viral campaign. So
yeah, it was kind of wacky, but it clearly caught fire. And I still think about those little hedgehogs and all those. It was lots of fun. So kudos to them for sure.
Definitely. Well, congratulations again on the win, Beth.
Thank you. We're quite honored.
Yeah, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and tell us a little bit more about the campaign and the ideas behind it. And thank you to everyone watching for taking the time to tune in. Hopefully you got some new ideas and inspiration for your marketing campaigns in 2019. And be sure to subscribe to Demand Gen Report to stay up to date on the latest research, news, podcasts, and more.